This current administration is doing nothing but walking into gun stores, mom and pop gun stores, going after the simple little small minor paperwork errors that people are making and trying to shut those gun stores down permanently who've been in existence for decades. And what we're doing is by bringing this lawsuit, we're saying, you know what, you need to stop that. What Congress says this is what you're supposed to do. There are a set of laws there and they should follow those laws, not step outside those boundaries. And so we're trying to put them back in those boundaries and say this is enough. It's impossible for anyone to do what we do and not make any mistakes at all. You get people that walk into the gun store to fill out a 4473, which is the firearms transaction record. There's 100 ways a person can mess up this form, if not more than that. There are 100 different inputs that you actually put on the form. Even customers make mistakes when it comes to their name, their middle name or their first name. They reverse it. On that little box that says county, they put country. That does not mean that that person is going to get handed a firearm and they're not supposed to. They're not a prohibited person. And so their license should not get revoked just for that simple little minor mistake. I'm actually getting phone calls from gun stores all around the country, as far as like Oregon, as close as Houston. You're talking mom and pop gun stores. Grandparents, great-grandparents have owned this store, and all of a sudden now, ATF comes in and inspect them, find a little paperwork error. Maybe they've made the same type of error because they didn't catch it themselves, and they're wanting to shut them down. And this is the only way that I can help them is by filing a lawsuit, kind of being on the offensive instead of the defensive. I think we're assisting all the gun stores in the country in getting the ATF back into the box they need to be put back into. I'm so grateful that I was able to sit down and talk with TPPF. This organization is the one organization that I thought would actually stand up for Texans and stand up for all Americans in the United States and fight the federal government when they're overstepping their bounds.
Your business is going to have technical problems. There's no question about it. Pacific Office Automation is your guide because problem solving is our passion. Every business is unique, no matter how big or how small the problem. From copiers and printers, telephone systems, managed IT, print services, and more, we offer integrated, streamlined office solutions to keep your office humming. With Pacific Office Automation, it's problem solved. Visit pacificoffice.com today to find out more.
Whether it's a typical traffic stop or you're just involved in a use of force incident, encounters with law enforcement can be scary and stressful. In the heat of the moment, you may inadvertently say something you don't mean or make an inconsistent statement. These are red flags for officers, and if they think you're lying or your story doesn't add up, they might arrest you and let the criminal justice system decide your fate. Police officers are trained to get information from you without making the interaction seem like a formal interrogation. But remember, from the moment an officer arrives on scene, everything you say and everything you do will be scrutinized in court. The prosecuting attorney will attempt to use anything and everything against you. So what do you say? You say, I invoke my right to remain silent, and then let your attorney interact with law enforcement on your behalf. One important note though, do not throw common sense out the window. For example, if the intruder's hiding somewhere in your house when the police arrive, or if you saw the perpetrator pitch his weapon into your backyard, quickly tell the police and then stop talking. You might ask, what about my rights? What if the police never read me my Miranda Rights? Miranda Rights is the common name for a collection of rights contained in the Miranda warnings, given to suspects when they're placed under arrest. The warning comes from a 1966 Supreme Court case, Miranda v. Arizona. In that case, the court held that statements from a custodial interrogation would not be admissible unless proper procedural safeguards were in place to protect the defendant's Fifth Amendment rights. We've all seen these warnings on TV and movies. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have an attorney. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, and so on. So do police have to read you your rights? No. It's important to note that officers are not required to read you these rights unless you're in custody and subjected to interrogation. If the police show up to a crime scene and start asking you general questions and you voluntarily tell them everything that happened, those statements can be used against you regardless of the Miranda warnings, because you're not in custody. If you're put in handcuffs, but you say something incriminating on your own without being questioned, those statements can and will be used against you because you're not being interrogated. You're just starting to spout off. This is why it's imperative that you know your rights, and you shouldn't rely on the police to read them to you. Affirmatively invoke your rights. Say, I'm invoking my right to remain silent, and my right to my attorney. Once you do that, the police legally shouldn't continue questioning you without your attorney present. But remember, there's a second part to this equation. After invoking your rights, you must exercise those rights. That means you have to keep your mouth closed. Protect yourself. Don't let the legal system take advantage of you after an incident. And Law Shield members, if you've been involved in a self-defense incident, remember to call the emergency hotline and speak with your independent program attorney.
I'm a U.S. Army veteran with a strong sense of duty and respect for our system of government. After 12 years, I was honorably discharged and decided I would fulfill the American dream of entrepreneurship and open up a gun shop in Austin, Texas. At my shop, I teach people to be law-abiding and how to safely use their firearm. On page 46, going to talk about Penal Code Section 46.02. The day that ban went into effect, I went into my local ATF in Austin and turned over my bump stock because I'm a law-abiding citizen. But I wasn't going down without a legal fight. So that's why I reached out to NCLA.
NCLA is representing Michael Cargill because federal agencies do not have the power to rewrite statutes. Bump stocks are not machine guns. If Congress wants to change the law and ban bump stocks, it certainly can do so. But we can't have the executive branch rewriting a statute and putting people in jail for up to 10 years.
It's a problem because, this government agency has said, you know what, something that is legal is now illegal, and we're going to confiscate it from you, and we're not going to compensate you for it, and you're going to become a criminal.
The goal of our case here is to tell the ATF that they can't get away with this kind of administrative lawmaking. This isn't constitutionally permissible, and this goes against everything that our nation was founded on.
The bump stock ban turned innocent law-abiding citizens into criminals overnight, even though they were compliant with the statute. And that's not right.
This case is not about where you stand on bump stocks. It's about the rule of law. It's about whether an agency can rewrite a statute and turn a law-abiding citizen into a criminal. If the ATF can ban bump stocks, any agency can ban anything.
Good day, gun nuts. It's time to hump our guns all around the country there. All right, so we have inside the gun store, Mary Barron. She's America's favorite single dog mom. Going to talk to us about what she's got going on and some experiences that she's had. Also, we're going to discuss the Marine veteran who fights off a robber and that followed him home. Also, we're going to go over to Georgia and talk about the man who shot an AK-47 at the Georgia police officer. Then we're going to go to, there was like a crazy shooting in the parking lot. This guy just executed this young man in the parking lot after some type of altercation. Not sure what happened there. We'll look at that video. And then go to Philadelphia. You always got to go to a city of brotherly love because they just love each other in Philadelphia, where police investigating. Apparently, guy goes in, holds up a young lady, pulls her out of the vehicle, and then sexually assaults her. We're going to talk about that as well. Going to go all around the country and talk about this gun news. So don't forget to click the like button, subscribe, Zach,
and hit that notification bell so you get notified every time we put out one of these awesome videos.
There you go. Yeah, Zach. What? Man, I like that. All right, first, let's go to Grand Island, Nebraska, and talk about Hornady. So apparently on Friday, October the 13th, an explosion at a chemical compound building at Hornady, manufacturing facility there in Grand Island, Nebraska, actually claimed the life of one of the workers there. And so a nearby hospital treated 2 others for non-life-threatening injuries and the concussion symptoms and smoke fume inhalation. Now, according to Hornady there, the president and vice president of the company says they were devastated for an employee, their family and loved ones, as well as the entire Hornady team. They are working with all agencies to investigate the cause, and this production incident was isolated to their primer facility and did not impact any of the manufacturing facilities. They appreciate the outreach they have received while they grieve the loss of one of their own. Now, fire departments from 4 communities responded to the explosion. And on Monday, October the 16th, Nebraska State Fire Marshal Agency announced the incident was an accident that occurred while mixing chemicals. So this is probably going to be a little impact on the ammunition world. What do you think, especially when it comes to primers?
Yeah, absolutely. Primer is a critical part of a bullet. Hornady makes critical defense bullets, too. One of the most popular self-defense rounds. I use their Magnum Coyote rounds in my Benelli M4. They make a lot of ammo, and this is going to be pretty impactful. I think it's going to raise the price of ammo.
Yeah, and Hornady's not the first to suffer a primary-related tragedy. Back in 2017, an explosion at the U.S. military Lake City ammunition plant claimed another life, and fatal incidents also occurred there in 1981, 1990, 1991, and 2011. So these things do happen when it comes to, these types of incidents. So hopefully this is not going to affect the ammunition prices, especially with what's going on in Israel, what's going on, around the world. So we'll see what happens in 2024 when it comes to ammunition.
Yeah, all those things combined. We have Ukraine. We've got Gaza and Israel. We have this explosion. All this ammo is getting sent over there. And, that's the ammo that we would be buying, too. That's ammo in the market, in the supply.
Especially if Iran jumps into this fight and then it pulls the United States in. We're looking at a World War III here. We're looking at a lot of resources going towards supporting, Israel.
Yeah, and the 2 most common rounds that are getting sent over there are 223, 556, and 308. So I'm sure those are going to go up.
So we'll see what happens. All right, let's jump over to what's the next one? Georgia?
The cop?
Yeah, let's go talk about Georgia. So a Georgia man shoots a cop with an AK-47 after deadly high-speed chase. Man, it's a very long video. It's like a 9-minute long video. And officer goes up to the vehicle, pulls the vehicle over, walks up to the vehicle. Guy immediately takes off, and it's a high-speed chase. And man, it was just wild. You get a chance to look at the video, Zach?
Tell me more about it, Mike.
Yeah.
It starts off with the guy shooting at the cops, right? And then they go back into pursuit.
Now it starts off with the cop pulls over the guy. He pulls him over. Cop gets out of his vehicle, walks up to the bad guy's vehicle. Bad guy takes off. Cop runs back to his vehicle, gives chase. We'll pick it up right at 6 minutes in.
Start right here? Yeah.
Now this is video from Carroll County Corporal Jamison Trout. It starts minutes after cousins Aaron and Pierre Shelton crashed their Nissan sedan in Villa Rica following a pursuit near Highway 61. You'll remember the incident began as a traffic stop along I-20 in Bremen. Authorities say Trout was following behind Carrollton police and actually witnessed Pierre Shelton shooting Sergeant Holloway, causing him to crash into a utility pole. Villa Rica officer Chase Gordy had also been shot. Now, the sheriff's office said the video shows Pierre start to approach Deputy Repetto's car armed with an AK-47. They say that's when he began shooting at both Deputy Repetto and Corporal Trout. Repetto was hit in the arm. The sheriff's office said Trout and Repetto both returning fire. Pierre Shelton was killed in the shootout. Now, the sheriff's office praising those deputies. They say that their heroic actions could have saved even more lives. And again, the GBI is still sorting through and taking over this investigation.
So they're actually charging the driver with the death of his, his cousin.
Not just an accessory, but actual.
And that's
homicide.
and that's typically what they'll do in Georgia. Like Georgia and Florida will do that. So you commit a crime with someone and police officers shoot your buddy, in the midst of this crime. And even though police officers shot and killed that person, they're going to charge you with, being responsible for that person's death because you played a role in it.
Oh, even when the cops shoot him.
That is correct. Yeah. So FAFO.
What does that stand for, Mike?
Fuck around and find out. All right. So let's jump over to the Marine veteran. All right. So a Marine veteran fights off robbers who followed him home.
New at 5, an apparent follow-home robbery attempt in Fullerton captured on security camera and the rear-view camera of the victim's Tesla. That victim able to fight off the suspects. Eyewitness News talked to his son, and our Sid Garcia is live in Fullerton with details on the investigation. Sid.
Investigators are wondering if the 3 guys who attacked the man here in Fullerton yesterday could also be the same crew that attacked another gentleman in Rowland Heights, which is about 15 minutes from here. The LA County Sheriff's Department's Walnut Station and Fullerton PD, well, they're comparing notes.
They hit your car. Ooh.
It happened in broad daylight yesterday afternoon around 12:30. 2 men approached the victim, sprayed pepper spray in his face, but the victim was able to fight them off. The victim's surveillance camera and the rearview camera on his Tesla recorded the attack.
Just super brazen. 12:30, middle of the day. They're not afraid of anything.
This man didn't want us to use his name. It's his father who you see being attacked by the 2 men. The son tells us his parents were returning home from church in Home Depot. They were followed by 3 men in this dark-colored sedan. 2 of them walked right up to his father and told him this moments before the attack.
And they approached my dad and said, "Hey, someone hit your car. There's car damage." And you can hear it on the recording. My dad was kind of confused because they just kind of came around him real quick, and they pepper sprayed him all over. Thank God he had glasses, because I think gave him a little bit of ability to fight back, and he fought back hard. And I think they got caught off guard, the fact that someone that old would fight back.
What also helped, there was a landscaping crew working at the house at the time of the attack. The suspects, according to the victim's son, apparently didn't see them.
These guys are heroes. My dad was screaming, fighting back, and they came running around and helped chase the guys, and the guys didn't realize there's more guys here, and they just boned out.
There's a report of a similar case in Rowland Heights. LA Sheriff's Walnut Station is investigating to see if it's connected to what happened here in Fullerton. And detectives for both agencies still looking for those 3 suspects. Live in Fullerton, I'm Sid Garcia, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Wow. Really. Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC7 content by clicking the subscribe button for our YouTube channel and download the ABC7 Los Angeles streaming app.
Man, that's like a teachable moment there. I hate to Monday morning quarterback this kind of stuff, but man, that'll make me go back and think, being a little more aware of my surroundings. And it's sad, you spend your day, it's a Sunday, you're going to church, you spend a day in church, you after church, you go a little shopping to do some home projects or something like that. After you spent your time in church, listen to the pastor, the minister talking about love thy neighbor, be kind to each other. And then you get home and someone tries to take your life and rob you. That's just insane. It's really crazy. The community, the world that we're living in nowadays. The fact that we have to, take these extra steps and go this extra mile, to be aware of our surroundings and constantly, looking over your shoulder, wondering, is that car following me or whatever. It's sad that we have to go to those extremes.
Yeah, and these guys took this guy off guard because they came up and they said, "Oh, somebody hit your car," to try and inform him that there was damage done to his car, and then spray him with pepper spray.
Man, crazy world, man. But that's Fullerton, California for you. That's why the police department out there in Fullerton, man. Have you ever seen them on Live PD? They're decked out. Those guys do not play. Fullerton Police Department, they respond with force and they respond in like teams. Very, very good police department out there in Fullerton, California. So, which they have to be because the criminals are very smart out there, very tricky criminals. And so you have to be on your toes when it comes to Fullerton.
Like, as you're saying with that situational awareness, though, I feel like that's one of the most, I think, preventable things, right? Like if we had more situational awareness, we're looking at our surroundings instead of our phone, especially in transition, like in and out of the car, right? For me, I feel like that's what I'm weakest on, and probably a lot of other people as well. But that could be one of the biggest things that could prevent the next steps, right? Like realizing you're being followed, seeing what's behind you, getting out of your car, looking around first. I mean, we didn't see what this guy did when he first got out of his car, but I know that's been a large weakness for me in the past. And
what's sad, and I know this family now is looking back and they're changing their whole little routine now, completely. They definitely learned from this experience, which is, sad. Here you are, you served your country, the United States Marine Corps, you're home, you just finished church, trying to build stuff, stuff for your house, your infrastructure and stuff like that. And then someone tries to take it away from you. Yeah. Crazy.
Hey, Mike, if this was Texas, would that guy have been authorized to use deadly force on the attackers?
Oh, yeah. If it was Texas, I think we should have sent him straight to the Lord.
But would he legally be allowed to?
Okay, so he, in that situation there.
Is that aggravated assault?
So the guy comes up and he's asking for what? What did he ask for?
He just said somebody hit your car.
Someone hit your car.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he pepper sprays him. So you have to ask yourself, is this person trying to kill me? So the question is he trying to kill me or is he trying to rob me? So were they trying to take anything?
Aren't you allowed to use deadly force if somebody is committing aggravated assault?
So if it's robbery or aggravated robbery, you can use deadly force to stop them, daytime or nighttime, it doesn't matter. So it's going to be like aggravated kidnapping, murder, sexual assault, aggravated sexual assault, robbery, aggravated robbery is what it is, not assault.
It's not aggravated assault.
Not assault, no.
But aggravated robbery.
Right. So
that would be aggravated robbery.
The question is, were
took something from it?
Were they trying to take something or were they trying to kill them? That would be the two questions we have to answer before we can decide.
And you're saying that depending on which one of those two situations, we could use deadly force back.
Correct. If it was one of those, if it was aggravated kidnapping, murder, sexual assault, aggravated sexual assault, robbery, aggravated robbery, then he could use force or deadly force to stop them.
Okay.
One would assume that they were trying to commit aggravated robbery on him, right?
Now, and then they came into the garage, so that, we got to also ask ourselves, were they trying to, force their way into the home, part of the castle doctrine? So,
is the garage considered part of the home?
If the garage is attached to the house, yes, it is.
Because I know, when I was at Sheepdog Response, we were talking over that, and one of the cops were saying, if they try to get in your car, but you're not in the car, but the car is in your driveway.
Correct.
I don't know about in the garage, but in the driveway, you can't use deadly force.
That's so that's going to be either it's burglary of a vehicle or it's theft. If it's theft, is it daytime or is it nighttime? So it depends on, we have to kind of break it down and see what it is.
But if you're in your car,
then it's the castle doctrine.
Then you can. That's considered your home.
That is correct. Okay. So there are three places you should feel safe. You should feel safe in your home, your vehicle, and your place of business. If someone tries to enter your home, your vehicle, your place of business while you're inside, or try to remove you from your home, your vehicle, your place of business while you're inside, then you can use force or deadly force to stop them, no questions asked.
That doesn't matter if you're in your vehicle outside of McDonald's or if you're in your vehicle in your driveway. It doesn't matter where the car is, as long as you're in it.
As long as you're inside the vehicle or someone's inside the vehicle. It's all part of the castle doctrine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I always tell people, stay in your vehicle. You're safer in your vehicle. The law protects you while you're in your vehicle.
Yeah.
All right.
Those are really good points to know as a gun owner.
Good stuff. Yeah. Let's see. Man, we got to go to, is it Philly that's next? Philadelphia?
City of Brotherly Love.
Oh, boy. What is this one? I haven't even seen this one yet. All right, so let's go to Philadelphia, city of brotherly love. So police are investigating 2 gunpoint sex assaults. Take a listen to this video here.
The first happened at 3 o'clock on Saturday morning on the 1600 block of South 55th Street. According to police, a woman was inside her car at a traffic light when a man approached the vehicle, pointed a small black handgun at her, and demanded money. After that woman gave him $20, police say he ordered her to unlock her car. He got in, told her to drive about a mile to 48th and St. Bernard Streets, where he sexually assaulted her. He then had her drive to an ATM to withdraw money. He took that money, and then police say he left. Now, the second incident happened Sunday evening at 5 o'clock on the 1100 block of South Paxton Street. A woman was walking in that area when police say a man came up behind her, pointed a handgun, and demanded money. She gave the man $25 and some medication, but he then forced her into an alleyway, and police say there he sexually assaulted her. Police call this entire situation incredibly concerning.
I got up that morning after reading everything. It was just,
And so, man.
He sexually assaulted 2 different women and then robbed them. He made them go to an ATM, one of them at least, and take out money to give to him. Now, this guy, he should meet Peter up at the pearly gates and then be denied.
So she's saying this happened at 5 o'clock in a public busy area. Are these girls not screaming? Like, what's going on? Like, are people walking by and not helping?
Right. Yeah, at some point you got to be like a fighter.
Right.
You know, you got to fight. Either, resist, fight, jump out of the car. You know, I can't see someone holding on to you while they're driving or while you're driving. You know, it's just.
I mean, if there's a gun pointed at you, I can absolutely understand. Even if you have training. I mean, at least as a female, I can only speak to that, right? Because I've only ever been me. Is like somebody, Zach jumps in the car. He's got a gun to me. You scared. Your mind's going blank. But I'm just imagining if somebody takes me back into the alley, like. I'm probably yelling for help. Maybe not if a gun's pointed at me. So maybe people, bystanders, people walking by don't know what's going on, but that's just wild to me.
Yeah. Sad situation. Like I said, it's man, these stories are like, they're so gruesome in such detail and what these people are doing. And things were not this bad prior to 2020. After 2020, things were like, it seems like criminals are more desperate, more bolden. There's no consequences. There's no fear of law enforcement, catching these people that are doing it in just broad daylight in the middle of the day, where it's 12 noon in the afternoon, where it's 5 o'clock during rush hour traffic. There's just like no shame. There's nothing that's actually stopping these people.
Yeah.
It's like crazy.
Yeah. And you said it, it's the lack of fear of consequences.
Yeah. So it's a lot of that. It's like Philly, and this other story in Philly. You have the other story where, and I wish we knew the details surrounding this other video here of two Asian males shooting at this other male, black male, in a parking lot. I wish we knew what happened before that. For all I know, it was justified.
I heard that the black male tried to rob the 2 Asian guys.
Okay,
and then.
And that's why I wish I knew like more detail of it, because the video, it looks really bad, but there's a reason why they were that angry. And I'm like, well, okay, why were they so angry? This guy had to have done something, and that makes sense. You have the video? I got it on this one.
You think he hit him now?
Oh, he shot him.
You really think so?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He's definitely shot him. So now let's go to Mary Barron, America's favorite single mom, dog mom. Hey,
Single
Mary.
dog mom. Let's clarify that. Really, don't you put that bad juju on me.
America's favorite single dog mom. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Sorry, I'm going to go to you while you're eating this banana. What's happening, Mary?
This bitch is hungry. Been putting in work.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's great to be here, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Why do they call you America's favorite single dog mom?
Okay, they is myself. So I'd say like out there on the internet, I'm mostly known for like just being the jiu-jitsu girl, right? But I share a lot about my dogs. I have 4 dogs currently, and there's anywhere from 4 to 7, 8 dogs that have lived with me at one time, right? So yeah, I'm a dog mom, and I just joke around. I've got a lot of friends who are moms, right? Single moms too, and I'm always just shitting around how like, oh, being a single dog mom is fucking rough. Like nobody helps me pay the bills for these dogs. Some people don't like it, but I think it's pretty funny. So I just bitch about it a lot, make a lot of funny jokes about it, and how that's the only kind of mom I'll ever be, et cetera, et cetera. So just throw it out there because I am America's favorite single dog mom.
All right, so tell us the story of the first time you shot a gun and the first gun you ever purchased yourself.
Okay, so I was actually trying to think back to the very first time I shot a gun. I grew up in Kentucky, so I may not be super accurate on when the first time is, but I'm thinking it was middle school or high school. One of my first memories of shooting a gun is at my friend Jordan Leach's farm. It was a rifle, and it was a 12 gauge.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Don't remember the specifics of it, but we were playing Annie Oakley. Y'all ever play Annie Oakley growing up? It's like put out, but with guns. Somebody shoots or releases skeet up. I hit it. If I miss it, Zach can hit it before it hits the ground. It puts me out, right?
Oh, wow.
Or if I hit it and then he hits a piece of it, but then you shoot after him and you hit it again, it puts all of us out, right?
Oh,
so
wow. Okay.
I practice. That's a Kentucky game for sure. I feel like, but that was one of the first times I shot a gun. Came back with like a really sore shoulder.
Yeah.
A sore shoulder.
A sore shoulder. I can't remember the very first time I shot a pistol. I'm sure it was with my dad or a handgun. But the first time I owned a gun myself, when I moved to Alabama when I was 18.
Oh, nice.
4 years later, I moved down. I was in Birmingham. I moved down to Mobile, Alabama. I lived in like 8 Mile though. It's like a little third world country down there. But I lived on 150 acres of like timber property. Mm-hmm. And I had like no cell service, no Wi-Fi, no TV. Like I lived in a tool.
What year was this?
This was 2011 or 12. They just didn't have it at the time. Like
wow.
There is Wi-Fi, but they didn't have it out there, right? And it was actually pretty awesome. And I didn't have a dog yet. And my neighbor, he lived like several miles away, but we became friends, and he would take me out on his motorcycle and stuff. And when he found out like I didn't have any protection out there, he was like, all right, he just dropped a gun off one day, and it was a Smith & Wesson MMP Shield, 9mm.
Nice.
And that was the first gun given to me. My dad had given me like a 22, rifle, long one, not one of the small ones that I would, target shoot out there and stuff and kill turtles and stuff like that. But like having my own handgun, that was then, and I was probably like 22 or 23, and I was scared of it at first. I was a little like, I don't know, and then I started I don't know how smart this is, but started sleeping with it loaded like under my pillow. Once I got comfortable, because I'm out there basically by myself, living on like a little compound with, Uncle Joe and Grandma. They weren't related to me, but Uncle Joe works shift work, so if somebody comes out there and finds me, I'd always be like, you're a Boy Scout, you can have your way with me if you can find me out here, but that was the first time I got my own gun.
Nice. Zach,
you have a gun on you right now?
Yes.
What do you got?
Well, I got this low vis. I'll show it to the camera. It's called Low Vis Waistband pack. I got it from Sheepdog Response.
Nice.
It's a fanny pack for guns.
Yes, it's awesome. I think this specific one was made by Roca. Let me see. Yeah, did I partner with them? I can pull it out, right?
Do what you want.
Okay. So
just don't point it at us.
I won't point at you.
Ooh, I like it already.
Here we go. Put it here. I'm just gonna set this down. So this little thing.
That's pretty.
I wear it all the time. Go ahead, take this out.
Rack that slide. Outstanding. Wonderful. Perfect.
So this is an easy slider. I love this gun. This is my favorite gun that I own. Smith & Wesson actually sent me 3 guns a couple years ago for free, which was pretty awesome. And I specifically asked for this one because, my little small hands, even though I do jujitsu, I don't feel like I have a great grip. So I can slide that back easy. Also, you can pull this down easy. So women out there, ladies, even dudes, like I love this gun. Like this one is so easy for me to handle and reload and all that. So this is the one I carry on me all the time.
Nice.
Yeah. And can I put those back in? We good to go.
Absolutely.
Cool. And I also have a Performance 2.0 Smith & Wesson.
Nice.
That one has a red dot, and that was fun. Actually, I've had that for a while, but hadn't shot it yet until a couple weeks ago. Love the red dot. Love the red dot.
Yeah, they're a game changer.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then I had, they gave me another MMP Shield Plus.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, so all 9mm. They were supposed to send me a rifle that never came through, but those are the 4 I have. That original MMP Shield, which actually got stolen. We can talk about that.
Oh, no.
I know. That was a mistake on my end. But anyway, yeah, those are my guns. But this is the one I am most comfortable, slapback reloading and stuff. But that I might start carrying the Performance 2.0 with the red dot.
So this one here is your favorite.
This one's my favorite.
Yeah, 'cause the easy.
So far.
Yeah, the easy. Yeah, because nice, good. The grip safety.
Yep.
That's awesome, and then it's easy to load also, so that makes it nice.
Absolutely, and if it jams, like I'm saying, I can pull back.
Yeah. Just because this past weekend I had a lot of ladies that were in class that had really long fingernails, and that was the hard part for them was actually loading
pushing it down,
loading rounds in the magazine. It's like, man, you guys gotta get it easy, Definitely.
Because in the moment, I know we'll get into Sheepdog Response later, but we practice, we'll put dummy rounds in and then practice that being your gun jam.
Correct.
But I was using my Performance 2.0, and I don't know if it was just shitty bullets I had or it was super dusty out there, so my gun was getting dirty. It was jamming a ton, right? And so I had a harder time working through those jams on that gun than this gun, even though my accuracy shooting with the Performance 2.0, since it has the red dot, is red dot.
Could you be riding the slide? Were you riding the slide? Meaning, did you have your thumb, maybe your fingers a little too high on the slide, slowing the action down, maybe?
That would have been hard for me to tell in the moment, but I did have an instructor right next to me who was watching for that, and they never mentioned, hey, that's what you were doing. Yeah. I kept asking her, why do you think this particular one's jamming so much? She's like, let's clean it. Because, we're tussling out there. We're doing, underhooks, grappling with my gun on me. Comes out, gets in the dirt,
Nice.
It was just super dusty that day. So it could have been that. My boyfriend's also like, it could have been the bullets.
Right,
just
Could be a
bullets
number of
sometimes.
things. Yeah. All right, cool. And so, and then one of the guns you said it was stolen?
Yeah, so my original gun that was given to me by my neighbor John when I lived down in the boonies, that was my Smith & Wesson MMP Shield. That's actually my least favorite gun. That one was super hard for me to reload, to slide back, all the things.
Okay.
Even the men that handled it, for me to be like, is this normal? They were even like, something, we need to oil up this gun or whatever. But that one I used to leave in my car. I feel very naive saying that. I learned very quickly that I think that is, correct me if I'm wrong, the number one place where guns are stolen are from cars, right?
Yeah, especially in Texas, in Austin, it's the number one way that criminals get their hands on guns, and it's really unlocked vehicles. People tend to have key fobs.
Yep.
And they hit that key fob, don't realize they unlocked their vehicle.
Yep.
And gun gets stolen.
And I think that's exactly what happened. It was I didn't even notice that it was stolen, and for a couple days, because I would leave it in there. This is before I had this low-vis waist pack, right? And I would leave that one in there and have my other ones in the house. And I was actually going back down to Alabama to visit the farm where I was on, and I got down there and was going to be shooting with that gun, and was like, oh, it's fucking gone.
Oh, no.
And I'm pretty big about locking my car and stuff, but I likely hit that key fob because there was no broken windows, nothing, and that gun's gone. Yeah. So I think it was right at my condo complex.
Wow.
You can buy a Flipper Zero, which is $200. It's this little hacking tool, and you can copy the transmission from key fobs.
Really?
Yeah, not the newer ones with the rolling codes, but the older ones.
Wow.
Yeah, if it's just in the range of a key fob being activated, then it can scan it, pick it up, and then you can copy it.
Yeah, what we do is when I go home, I usually, when I walk in the house, we have a metal container that we put our keys in, close it so the signal doesn't come out.
Yeah, for those newer cars, they can just have a little antenna with one of those devices near your front door and just point it and pick up those codes.
Yeah, because I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I have a 2017 like Ford. Do you think, is that newer? Is that
is it the one where if your fob is just near, then you hit the automatic start button?
Yeah, if the fob's in the car, I can just hit the start button.
Then I believe so, yeah.
Then it can be hacked.
Then it's just passively transmitting the code for the car to be able to start. And when that's just near the car can pick it up.
Right.
So they can use one of those handheld antennas and read that signal and then copy it and use it.
Yeah. Might have to get one of those metal boxes.
Yeah, get yourself a little container, pop that in there. Because I noticed with my vehicle, depending on where my keys were in the house, whenever you get close to the vehicle, the lights come on. Like if you're walking outside or something, walking to your vehicle, it turns the lights on, so you can identify your vehicle. Well, my vehicle, the lights would just come on, because it would pick up the signal. Right. I said, we got to stop that. So we got the metal container, put the keys in the metal container, boom, and that stopped that from happening.
Nice.
So the signal's not going out.
It's not any special type of metal container, just a metal container.
Stainless steel.
Yeah, stainless steel, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So little things like that help out just a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah. And then
but no, I learned my lesson. I do not leave gun in the car at all. Like ever. If I feel like, because every now and again when I'm driving, I'll take off the waist pack just because it's uncomfortable and I'll set it next to me. And then I walk out and get into the condo and realize I've left it. I go immediately back. Because I hate thinking that somebody who should not have a firearm is out there with my firearm and potentially has done harm to somebody, like that fucking eats me up, and that's on me.
Right. Yeah. And that hurts too.
Yeah.
You have a little stalker situation going on. Tell us about that.
So I've had some of these in the past, and then something more recently. I wouldn't necessarily call this. It was more somebody threatening, but I didn't see them stalking me. In the past, when I was younger, so I was probably 19, 20. This first happened. Instagram wasn't out yet. It was like MySpace, Facebook, right? I'm in college. I had like a little Nokia phone, right? And I kept getting these text messages. Somebody saying they couldn't wait to see me later that day, and then even down to like telling me what I was wearing. And I thought it was just one of my friends. Like I played sports, and I was friends with a lot of athletes. I thought it was just somebody on the football team like fucking around. I can cuss on this, right?
Yeah, you do what you want.
Just like fucking around, and those little Nokia phones. Like if somebody texts you a lot, it pushes everything up, right? So like on the iPhones, when you open it up and they've texted you 10 times, it'll take you to the first text, right? Okay. This is showing you the last. So I didn't notice for a while that they had sent a dick pic either.
Oh, wow.
And so when I was scrolling back up to show whoever I was dating at the time, what was going on, then we saw it. And I was like, oh shit. And like, this isn't a joke. And so I finally texted the person back being like, yo, hey, like, I'm for real. If this is one of my friends, like, you need to tell me because I'm going to, go to the authorities. So I ended up going to like AT&T, sweet talking the youngest dude there I could find, and kind of like, being sweet to get him to tell me whose number it was, because they're not legally allowed to do that. He did. He gave me the name of the person. I had no idea who they was or who they were. I ended up going to like campus security, and we're searching. And that guy looked at me like, oh, you didn't give your number out like when you were drunk. And at this time, I didn't drink till I was 21. Right. Maybe like one time I was the DD, pretty sober person all the time. And I was like, no. And he wouldn't believe me. I was like, I'm serious. Like, I don't know who this person is. Anyway, they found him on MySpace, older person. I was like, maybe they're at night school here, saw him. I don't know. Anyway, long story short, like, they ended up reaching out to him, like putting his name out on campus, like not like his picture up at the guard gate, not letting him come on. And friends were walking me to and from class. Because he knew what I was wearing. He knew where I was going. So that really creeped me out. I never saw the person, thankfully. I didn't see them stalking me. It was just they kind of told on themselves, right?
Wow.
But once the authorities reached out in that way, as far as I know, like he never bothered me again that I was aware of. Another time was somebody I knew, and he ended up being in the military. I'd grown up with him in like middle school and high school, and he had a crush on me growing up, had written a paper about me. And when you're younger, like, okay, there's this like infatuation. It weirded me out when I was younger, right?
Right.
But then he when we were in college, he reached back out, and I know y'all don't know me, but I very much so taken like underdogs. I work with adults with special needs and like geriatric. So especially as a younger person, I could be taken advantage of.
Need to try to help people.
Yes. Right. And especially when I was younger, I really could not gauge well who was a predator or not, and who was going to take advantage of that type of thing. I still probably don't have the best gauge on it, but I'm better. But anyway, this person started calling in different voices and saying they were going to come find me, and but I knew that
on your cell phone.
Yeah, on my cell phone.
Wow.
Like they were talking to me normally for a while, and then when they got back into the States, and again I was just like, oh yeah, are you doing well, they started calling over and over and over. I remember I was dating this guy at the time. He's like, why is this person calling you 16 times? I'm like, I don't know. I picked up. They acted like they were somebody else, saying they were going to come find me. Anyway, my dad reached out to this guy's platoon officer. I'm probably saying the military. He was in the military,
Okay.
yeah. And it was just a friend of mine, nobody I'd ever dated, just somebody I'd known growing up, and who, I had just had some problems. And
That's pretty
anyway,
hardcore.
That one scared me. We had to change my number, but then most recently, I'm on the internet.
Did you guys try to get a restraining order or something like that, a protective order?
We did not. No, I just did what my dad said, and he was like, change the number, do not talk to this person again.
Probably should have tried to get a protective order or something.
Yeah. Moving forward, that will be something.
Because that kicks in a couple of different things. You get a protective order, that means that person can't purchase a firearm.
Mm-hmm.
If they have a gun, they make them surrender the firearm.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a protective order.
Yeah.
So that triggers
even if I'm just saying,
things.
hey, you can't where I hadn't recorded the phone calls, right? If you don't have a whole lot of concrete proof to show them, hey, this person, maybe if it was via text, I could show them. But even if you don't have concrete proof like that, can I still do that?
Hey, we just have to take it to the judge and let the judge decide.
Okay.
That's enough.
At least to have a record of me attempting to do it, right?
What has happened? This is what this person's doing. They're doing da 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 da. They said this picture da 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 da. They've said this da 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 da. And let's let the judge decide.
Mm-hmm. That's advice I've gotten in the past with other things. Is cops saying just at least have a record, at least go show that you're trying to get this taken care of, even if they don't give you the protective order or the restraining order or whatnot.
Right.
Okay. But more recently, there was, I'm going to leave names out of this.
Mm-hmm.
There was a girl that was at a different jiu-jitsu gym who had reached out to one of my teammates and started sending her just aggressive, mean messages online, and then started talking very violent towards her about her kids, about me, and saying that what my family did to her. I've never met this person. I mean, there's a lot of people that come through our gym, so there is a possibility maybe I've met this person in passing, but I looked at her
Don't
picture,
even remember it, right?
Zero idea. Talking about they're gonna beat my face into the ground until I'm bleeding out onto the floor. I'm kind of paraphrasing here. I'd have to go back and pull up the messages, life-threatening things about me and to her, and then we end up looking this girl up, and it looks like she does have some actual mental illnesses recently kind of happened. And just with my experience with people with schizophrenia, to me, that's what it looked like. The way the messages were a little incoherent. And that was most recently. And I went to the gym, was like, if this person comes in, this is their picture, don't let this person in, and it was also to the wife of the guy that runs our gym, right? So they knew about it. And fortunately, my friend was able to kind of de-escalate the situation with this person. Kind of ended up being there to listen to them online, and the person kind of calmed down. I still don't know what why targeted us. I think it's just kind of misdirected anger,
Maybe you tapped her out a few too many times.
Maybe, but I think it was just one of those, she was directing anger towards this particular gym because somebody she had used to date, is kind of what it sounded like. And then from there saw our videos online, and then just it didn't make sense. It was unsensical, if that's a word. But which makes me think there is some schizophrenia going on. But that also scares me because I've known two people personally with schizophrenia who have done some wild things that they are not in control of, right? And then I've worked with patients who have schizophrenia. So whereas, somebody in their sober mind, in their right mind, I was like, I would never think Zach would do that. But then you get diagnosed with schizophrenia, you have a break, well, you're not the same person. You know what I mean? So that was having me really look over my shoulder a lot. I even told my downstairs neighbor, if you see this person around, because I realize it's not hard to find me.
Right.
Right. I'm online. People know where I work out. They know where I go. All you have to do is wait.
Right.
Not to give ideas, but that's all you have to do. So that was really making sure my situational awareness was about at that time.
You ever tried cameras and stuff like that? So one of our sponsors is has this camera system that you can actually get. They're called Pacific Automation, and there's a camera system that you can get called Verkada. With that system, you can track like license plates, that are passing by your house and stuff like that. You can and record that information, and it will track people, show them the route that they're taking if someone's walking by your house or walking around your house and stuff like that. So it's a very, very good detailed system, and you can actually have a facial. You can have a person, and anytime that person gets picked up by the camera, will let you know, hey, this person, on your phone, this person's here, whatever, You can set up a system where, like nighttime, like say, certain time from let's say 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. There's motion in certain places. It'll send you a text message or alert or something like that about that motion, things like that. So it actually works really good. So you ever want to think of something?
I've got cameras, but not like that. And like I'll get that information from you after this because especially as like we're looking to buy a house and we'll be able to see, from the house onto the street. Right. I definitely want something like that. Just the more my life is online, right. And I'm online, not just on Instagram, not just on TikTok. I've got like fan site, and like the more I'm out there, the more I get I don't know if paranoid's the right word, or just wanting to be aware, of who's where, what's going on. Because also,
and certain things trigger, crazy people.
Oh yeah.
So certain little events in the news and stuff like that, and then they see you in their little target space or whatever, and then they kind of gravitate towards you.
Absolutely. And just recently, and this doesn't mean this person's a threat or anything, but people that follow me on my fan site, I've just now recently had a couple people be like, oh, I'm telling me they're joining the gym I'm at, right? Telling me, and I'm sure there's people at my gym who follow on these different sites, right? But when there's already some yellow flags, I'll say, because I don't want to accuse these people yet, but like yellow flags, and then you tell me you're coming to the place I'm at, like, why don't you just, like everybody else, just pretend like you don't tell me, So like now I'm being more and more aware, and even like the staff will let me know, when these people show up, just to be aware.
Right.
So yeah, I'll definitely look into something like that.
Nice. And then, and so you've had some like really weird things happen. Give us some scenarios or some things that have happened to you, or some things that you want to get some insight about.
Fortunately, like I have not had to use my gun yet. But like a scenario where I wish I had a weapon on me in the past. I was down in New Orleans. And we kind of talked about this a little beforehand. I was pulling from that scenario. I was in New Orleans with some girlfriends for New Year's. I was early mid-20s and been drinking, and my friends wanted to stay out. And I was like, nah, I want to go back. And it was like walking distance, okay, like several blocks. So I turned down this alley, just like and I go by myself, which I would never do now. Right. I feel like when I was in my early 20s, I feel, oh, I'm fine. I'm invincible. I'm on the track team. Nobody can catch me. Like, whatever.
Emboldened.
What? Yeah, emboldened. And I had no fight training then. I was just like, I'm just strong and I'm fast and what stupid and dumb. And I go down this alley, and I was aware that this man was following me. Right. And so there was an older couple in front of me, and I was like, hey, I ended up walking up. I was like, hey, can I pretend I need to be with you while somebody's following me? And fortunately they were cool, and they're like, yeah, of course. And so I follow them, and we get toward their hotel first. Like, why don't you come up for a second? Because that guy was still following us. And like, why don't you come up a second and wait for him to come?
Did you have your cell phone with you?
I had a cell phone with me.
You think to call the police?
I did not.
Should have called the police and tell them, if they could meet you at the hotel that you were going to those people's hotel. And if they met you there, then give that guy a little police interaction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but go ahead.
But of course I'm thinking, oh, this older couple is safe, right? So I go up to the hotel room with them. Again, I'm young, naive. I was more of a people pleaser back then. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll come up and wait. And I go up and I wait. And at first they're like innocently talking to me. And I remember they started talking about their daughter, and then started telling me their daughter is like, they're like, oh, our daughter's into experimenting with other girls. Like, is that something you've tried? And I remember thinking, no, this is a weird conversation. I was just naive. I was like, no. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm looking at my phone, I look up, and the man is like groping the woman as they're talking to me. And it slowly starts dawning on me, like, oh, like, I appreciate this couple.
From freak one to freak two.
But they're like, yeah, they're trying to get me into this little threesome. And I just realized that I'm like, I gotta go. I think that guy's gone. And they didn't like block the door or anything like that. But I'm like, I just walked in from one situation to another.
Right.
Now I do think the first situation was still more dangerous, just because this couple wasn't forcing themselves on me, but they definitely were trying to like get me involved.
Second one was a lot freakier than the first one.
Jesus, God. And so I go back down, I in the lobby looking out. I don't see the guy. And so I head on to my hotel, but I'm like, damn, like how, and I've had friends be held up in New Orleans,
right?
At gunpoint. I'm like,
I mean, you have me at New Orleans. When you say New Orleans, the first thing I think of, I've always had this thing where if I go to New Orleans and then I'm gonna wake up in a bathtub in a hotel filled with ice with a note saying, dial 911 because we have this body part of yours. That's what I think of in New Orleans. So you had me when you said that.
Isn't it like at least top 3 violent crime capital of the U.S.?
I don't know, but I just New Orleans scares me.
For sure. I don't particularly want to go back there.
Yeah.
When I lived down in Mobile, I was just 2 hours from there. I dated somebody in New Orleans, so I was in and out there a lot. But no, you don't need to. I don't care if I ever see Bourbon Street again. Like not great things. I've been drugged on Bourbon Street before. Like that shit. I do not want to go back to Bourbon Street. I'll tell you about 2 other quick situations, but then I do have some questions for you about circumstances. And this is something I want to get better at, is really understanding the law here in Texas now that I do own firearms.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I won't go into a lot of detail in this, but to be open, like I've been assaulted twice. Once was in college with somebody I knew. I had actually, dated before briefly, but had never slept with. And so I, but was still friends with later on. And anyway, they ended up coming into my home. I was very much like, oh, hey, what are you doing here? I'd seen them early in the night. And, anyway, so I was raped at that point, and I remember being just so shocked. So, and I didn't know how to fight someone off at that point. Like many girls, I'm saying no, and then you freeze. You freeze. And I think maybe that's something a lot of men don't understand. Like, why wouldn't you fight somebody off that? But I was like, they're much bigger than us. Like, there's several different reasons. And at that time, one, I was intoxicated as well. Like, it was at the end of a night. But I was just so confused why they're there. They caught me off guard. Didn't know they were showing up to the house, but still let them in because it was a familiar face, somebody I knew. Correct. And that was a horrible situation. Wanted to just die the next day. But I wish I had known what I know now, because I think just a little bit of fighting would have, and this particular person made them leave. The second time was actually here in Austin. And it was somebody that I had met before, but they were able to get me alone in a dark situation with no other people around, get me in an enclosed room, no windows, and like they were much bigger than me. And again, I freeze. I didn't know what I know now. And again, I think I don't know because I didn't fight. But if I, other than saying no. But if I had fought, I feel like this particular person would have fought me back.
Oh, wow.
But at this point, I'd much rather like give a fucking fight. Like that will never happen to me again without a fight ever. Like if somebody ever tries this again, I'm leaving with their ears. I'm leaving with an eyeball. I'm leaving with something. I hope that my training kicks in, and I can prevent it completely. But
or good old boil some rice or some grits.
Yeah. Yes. Gosh, what movie is that? That's one of the Medea movies.
That's right. You cook him some breakfast.
Yes, that's exactly what she says.
That's
and just hit with the pan.
You'll never do it again.
Exactly. But both times were people that I at least, one I knew well, and the other one I didn't know well, but that's also a confusing situation. You're around somebody familiar, your guard is down, But anyway, my questions to you though, like let's go back to the New Orleans situation. Let's say that I was here in Austin and somebody gets me into an alley by myself, follows me into an alley, whatever reason. I make the mistake of getting into a dark alley, right? And they're there and they're like, hey, like give me your money, give me purse, whatever. Or go this direction into an even more secluded place. Right. If I see them reaching into their pocket, whether it's a knife, a gun, reaching into their waistband, and I think there's a weapon, and I have my weapon on me, at what point can I pull out my gun? Because I think in the state of Texas, correct me, if you pull out your gun and point it at the person, you can be charged with.
You need to make sure you're justified before you threaten someone with a gun. Make sure you're justified in pulling the trigger and shooting them before you threaten them with it. So, situation like that, they're asking for something, I would throw it to them, throw them something. They clearly go and take what they're asking for. They pick it up, they take it, they have it in their hands. Boom, you're justified in shooting them then, because now that's robbery. It's either robbery or aggravated robbery if they have a weapon.
Okay.
So then at that point, once they have your property in their hand, you're justified in shooting them to get your property back.
Okay. Even if they don't pull a weapon on me.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Don't have to pull a gun or a weapon or knife or nothing. Once they take your property because they're asking for it, they take it, that's robbery. They have a weapon, it's aggravated robbery. So both those cases there, you're justified in using force or deadly force to stop
And
them.
there's not an argument of, oh, well, you threw it to him, so you gave it to them.
No, he demanded it. They demanded.
Okay.
So I
don't
gave it
have to say no first or anything. I'm just.
Yeah, he said, give it to me. Okay. They were robbing me. So I gave it to them and then I stopped them and got my stuff back.
Gotcha.
Okay. And in that previous situation you mentioned, that's sexual assault, which is also
that situation.
Justified situation.
Yeah, it's me. Hey, hold on. Let me just hold on. Let me grab a bottle of lube. Let me grab this condom over here. Oh, I got some tasty stuff for you. And reach.
But if you say that, I mean, you can't say that, can you?
Yeah, you can say a lot of things.
I feel like
if somebody says, let's say they're like,
they're in the midst of doing what they're doing,
but they have
taking what they're not supposed to take.
But if somebody, at what point do you?
They say, oh, it was consensual because.
So if somebody says, hey, I want to fuck, and then you say, oh, let me grab some lube, and then you get out a gun and shoot them.
Not saying.
At what point? How do you get them to that, or not get them? But when do you get to that point?
At that point, they're pulling their pants down. They're unbuckling. Their pants are unbuckled. Their penis is out. It's getting erect. At that point, you want to you can do a deception.
So if somebody's getting an erect penis, you can shoot them.
Hey, if they're getting ready to take something.
But how do you like? What are the steps that the person needs to take?
At that point, that person is forcing themselves on another person.
But what does the victim need to do first
to prove that it was forceful versus this is just the guy I'm dating trying to come on to me?
Yeah.
Once the penis is out, there's no just trying to date and come on to you. Your penis is out.
Yeah, but like,
but that's how you have consensual sex too. That's one of the steps.
I see your question here. I'm assuming because some of the cops are kind of talking about certain situations at Sheepdog. It's a lot about intention and what can you prove in the court of law. So if I can prove like, I did not know this person that walked into my house, I did not know this person or I don't know them well, but in my situation, I knew the people, I'm not saying no. And then like, yes, for sure. Oh, okay. All right. I always thought I would say something like, oh, I have herpes, so we want to get a condom or something, like something to make them not want to rape me, you know? I don't know, but I wonder the same thing. At what point can the guy end up saying, oh, well, she was cool with it and then she shot me?
Well, if you shoot him dead, then,
he can't prove anything. That's true. Yeah. But, do you understand that question?
I like that part. Yeah. Can't say anything.
But, okay, so I'm in an alley. Somebody, throw it to them, right? I was learning if I'm in the alley and they demand something, but they go for a weapon or they're going to pull a weapon on me, was when I'm in close proximity, especially if it's a knife. If it's a gun, I think a little bit different situation because whether I'm running away, they can still shoot me in the back, right? But like I've been taught, and I hope I'm saying this correctly, is immediately go for the hand that's going for the weapon and control that.
Correct.
Right? Like I need to immediately try to disarm you. So first priority, the weapon. And then getting, controlled position, getting the weapon from you, escaping from there. Or do as much damage to you as possible so you can't get up and follow me, right? Whether that's taking the blunt of the gun to your head, whether that's stabbing you, taking off, And again, I hope I'm representing what I learned correctly. But my thought is if Bobby Joe has me in the alley and he's reaching for a weapon, like, I don't need to fucking, especially if it's a gun, take off and run.
Right.
If I'm in close proximity, I got to disarm.
If you can.
Yeah.
If you can. Right. Yeah. That would be the best way if you can. If you can't, then there's other things you can do as well.
But if he goes to pull for that weapon, I have my weapon too.
Right. So
I'm allowed to shoot.
He who shoots first wins.
But like by law, I can shoot.
If you think this person's trying to kill you, absolutely.
Okay.
And they're trying to rob you, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Shoot them dead.
Stop them.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there would be a lot of people who are like, oh, you're so small, you're so little, like how you think you're gonna disarm somebody? Like training, practice, right. Practice. I think there's a better chance of survival there than, you know, in close proximity, turning and running. Because like if it's a guy your size and we're this close and you pull a knife, okay, you can throw the knife at me, you can chase me down. You know, you are likely going to catch me, though. I'm pretty fast. But, you know.
I'm pretty fast, too.
That's unfortunately what would probably happen, you know. Do you agree with that, though? Do you agree,
absolutely.
like, go and disarm as soon as possible?
Yes. If you can, absolutely, yes. You definitely go for the weapon to stop what they're trying to do and gain control of them. And then if for some reason you're not close enough where you can do that because there's too much distance, you know, then you have to go to plan B.
Which would continue to put more distance between you all and barriers, correct?
Yeah, distance, barrier, if you could, throwing at them, you know, what they're asking for, you know, and that gives you time to draw and go for what you, because a lot of times people don't have that mindset of drawing and going. We typically tend to pause and wait and think things through. So you're going to need
create the space.
You need space and time.
Create the space. And again, this is why I need to continue to get the reps in and practice and have these conversations. Because, and at whatever point you all want me to start talking about Sheepdog Response and explaining it, I can. But, you know, I've taken that course 3 times, but it's like the reps in between. I get a lot of the jujitsu and the self-defense type reps. I don't get nearly as much, you know, reps doing self-defense jiu-jitsu, practicing somebody having a weapon on
You're
them.
talking about Tim Kennedy's Sheepdog Response course.
Yes.
How was that?
Yes, it was awesome. So like for those who don't know, I'm sure this audience surely knows who Tim Kennedy is. I call him Captain America. And again, I hope I get these specifics correct. He's a famous Green Beret sniper. Correct? Green Beret.
That's right.
He actually was just over in Israel helping with Save Our Allies, getting America, as many Americans out of that situation as possible.
He's been here on the show a couple times too.
Yeah, he's fucking badass. My boyfriend works for him up there, not at Sheepdog Response for TKO, but Andrew Craig. So you know, they actually met. I believe they met when they were both fighting in the UFC. So that, you know, Tim's also UFC veteran. So anyway, he's got one of his companies is Sheepdog Response course. You know, sheepdog meaning, you know, the person's going to show up, not leave people behind.
Right.
Save, you know, fight. And so this course, like the one I took, there's so many different levels to this course and different ones, like even teaching you how to protect and provide for your family and go hunting and all these things. The one I've taken 3 times is Sheepdog Response Protector 1.
Okay.
So it teaches
Why'd you take it 3 times?
Oh, because I got it for free. And you have to be approved before you can go to level 2. I may be approved at this point. I'm not sure, but I definitely needed to at least take it twice. And yeah, it's an awesome course. Like, it's an awesome course. Some of the people that I took it with. So, all right, let me break it down. They teach you situational awareness the first day. You go over like several hours of that. Then the second 2 days, you go up to their gym and you learn some basic, like I call it jujitsu self-defense. You're using jujitsu techniques for self-defense, which is different than sports jujitsu. Sports jujitsu, a lot of times I'm playing from bottom. I'm little, I'll submit you from bottom, but in self-defense jiu-jitsu, where you can still attack from bottom, you're definitely focused on top position, right? Control position. But so you do the first half of the day doing that.
Oh wow.
Okay. For several hours. Second half of the day, you go out to the range and you're learning all different basics about handling your gun, shooting, you know, what happens when your gun jams. Second day, it gets more advanced. You are again doing jiu-jitsu, self-defense, but then they'll throw in like fake guns, fake knives. So you're live rolling at some point, whether it's with the instructors or other people in the course. And you know, what do I do if I'm going to fight with you and then I see you, I didn't know you had a weapon on you. Then I see you pull a knife. All of a sudden, I'm no longer just thinking top position. I'm thinking control. control the weapon. So it's a whole different mindset, and it really taught you, like, there's no way you can absorb everything in just these 3 days. I mean, they give you so much information, and that can be daunting for people. But the way I look at it is just how I looked at jiu-jitsu, or how I looked when I went to grad school, is you're dumping as much information and quality information and reps in that you can. And you may forget half of it when you leave. But when you go back and you take the reps and you practice, these things are going to come back to you. And every time you get a look and a pass at this, you're like, oh, fuck, yeah, I remember. You pick on it. You pick up on it faster and faster, right? It teaches you how much you don't know. So, like, I came out of my first Protector 1 course being like, oh, I've been doing jiu-jitsu a couple years, and be like, fuck, I know nothing when it comes to adding weapons in. You know, I need to do a little bit more MMA. I think people doing MMA are more prepared than people just doing straight jiu-jitsu, because you have people punching you, right? That's another thing. Like, all of a sudden I got somebody on top of me punching me. I'm not just going to do, you know, an arm bar underneath if they're hitting me with the other hand. You know, I gotta be watching for these things. Does that make sense? And then, second day on the gun course, like, they're adding in like barriers, and this third time I went, like, also at one point, like, somebody's like grappling with me, standing up, trying to get underhooks. Like, they're adding in so many different situations, and it was just awesome. And the last 2 times I went was a women's only course, which I'm really trying to do, because a lot of women, so many women I know, have been victims of assault, and a lot of them really struggle with a lot of PTSD. And one thing that keeps them from training and getting reps and practicing is the male presence. And so, while yes, to truly protect yourself, you're going to have to get past that. You can't freeze just when a male is there, or if a male's going to attack you. But baby steps, right? Let's get you comfortable with the gun. Let's get you comfortable on the mats, you know, with other women and female instructors, and then we'll start integrating controlled environments with men in this situation, so that just more likely than not, you're probably going to be sexually assaulted by a male than a female. You know? But anyway, does that make sense?
Yeah, makes good sense.
It's an amazing course. I'm so glad I've done it 3 times. I would do it again. I learned so much every single time.
Now, why do you think bajillion? So why do you think BJJ is so important for women?
Oh gosh, like one, a lot of fights like do go to the ground. Right. So learning to fight on the ground, but also jiu-jitsu is known where this smaller person can still gain advantage and still attack, because you're using a lot of leverage there. For myself in particular, let's say Zach and I are going against each other. He's got longer limbs. He's taller. How much do you weigh?
220.
Okay. So you're almost exactly 100 pounds heavier than me. I'm 125. But likely because he's bigger, longer limbs, when he's on top of me, when he's moving, he's going to create more space between his torso and his arm, which is going to allow me to get my knee in, which is going to push his chest up off me, which allow me to kick up into his face, which hopefully will get me to do a technical stand up, which then maybe I can pull out my weapon. Does that make sense? So like, just because you're bigger doesn't mean you're going to win. Now, if I'm going against a trained guy his size, I mean, size does matter. I'm not going to act like it doesn't.
Oh, we have weight classes, right?
Exactly. But, you know, Eddie Bravo, the creator of 10 Planet Jiu-Jitsu, always says if you're a blue belt, you're more well-trained than 99.99999% of the population, right? Most people out there aren't training like that. So you get those guys in the video who did pepper sprayed that dude. They did not seem trained. They were just street thugs. You know? So one of those guys attacks me. Sure, will they probably be able to do some damage? I'm not stupid. They probably will. But I'm going to be able to also do some damage. So to summarize that, jiu-jitsu, you can use leverage. You know, there is a lot of things that a smaller person can still do. Right. You know, whereas if I'm trying to hit Zach with our size difference, I'm not sure even how accurate my punches, even if they land well, if it's going to do that much damage to him. But I can fucking armbar the shit out of him. You know, I can try to throw elbows down his face in the ground. You know, I can knee him in the face. I can, when he's on the ground, and do damage and get up and leave. That's kind of my take. Pull my gun out.
If you have to.
If I have my gun, absolutely. But again, if I have to create space, you know, if you come up behind me, if my situational awareness has broken down, you know, create that space, get you away from me, control my own weapon, and use it. Absolutely.
And be able to pull it out and immediately shoot it. That's a very advanced.
Yeah, just practicing that draw. Just practicing that over and over and over, right?
Because everybody practices picking their gun up slowly off the bench, aiming, taking their time, and then shooting. Right. But drawing from the holster and shooting is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what we didn't talk about is not putting yourself in those certain situations too, because once you're in that situation, you're kind of lost a little bit. So, you know, not putting yourself in that alley initially that we're talking about, by yourself, going with somebody, being with, friends, not just with strangers or something like that, not putting yourself in that situation, being that late at night, walking that direction or whatever. So like we have cases where people I had a lady come here a couple of weeks ago, and she was like in tears because she got an Uber to come here to the gun store to get fingerprints done, doing our fingerprint system that we have. And the person that picked her up was not her original driver. She never looked at the license plate and verified the vehicle. He pulled up and said, "Hey, are you so-and-so, so-and-so?" She said, "Yes." She jumped in the car, and then he took off and started taking her somewhere else and didn't want to stop to let her out.
Yeah.
And so she eventually was able to get out of the vehicle, call her parents to come pick her up, to bring her over here. And she was just all shaken up and broken up over it. And she was, just shocked the fact that the guy had her name, her information, and all that stuff, and just randomly picked her up. Things like verifying the vehicle. It tells you, the app, they text you and tell you the license plate of the vehicle that's picking you up, the make and model of the vehicle. So there's no reason for anyone to get into the wrong vehicle in a situation like that. So don't put yourself in certain situations where you have to, fight your way out of it.
And that reminded me of, I was in New York, again, early 20s, had Ubered somewhere by myself, even though I was with some friends, to had just stupid, just like, I would meet random people out, fun people. I was very outgoing. I am outgoing, but especially outgoing. Always want grass is greener somewhere else. Want to see what these people are doing. And they're like, "Oh, come to this place." I'm like, "Okay." I get in this Uber by myself in New York, and the Uber driver's hitting on me. I think I was sitting up front, which isn't normal. But anyway, he ends up pulling over and like trying to,
Oh, nice.
Like make out, and I was able to get out of the car.
Right.
But why was I Ubering away from my friends in a city that I don't know? To meet up with people I'd just met because they seemed fun. Like, that's so fucking stupid,
Right.
But yeah, being aware of that stuff.
And just not putting yourself in those situations.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't want to, things happen. We get in situations. It still doesn't mean that we're asking
we're supposed to have fun. You're supposed to get out there and have fun, enjoy yourself, but just try not to put yourself in those tight little situations like that where you have to fight your way out of it.
Yeah. And even now, like, I'm very used to taking care of myself. I've lived on my own, several different times. And, but now that, my boyfriend lives with me, when I walk the dogs at night, he almost never, when it's dark, is like, lets me walk them by myself anymore.
Right.
Like, he's like, I'm coming. Even if he was like asleep, and I appreciate that. Like, most of the time I used to be like, "Hey, babe, I've been doing this for years."
It happens. I mean, there's cases I've heard, like in my neighborhood, where people are stealing dogs from the owners while they're walking their dog or robbing them. They had a couple that was out exercising in their garage at like 6 o'clock in the morning. Two guys came up, pulled guns on them to try to get their car keys to steal their car while they're, working out in the garage. Little things like that. So things like that happen. And, so you just, man, it's a crazy world.
My mindset has been switching, especially the more I do these Sheepdog Response courses and the more that I see that has gone on to my friends, people around me, is why take unnecessary risk? If my boyfriend's willing to walk the dogs with me at night, why do it by myself?
Right.
Let's go. Let's do it. And we both, like, I even get on to him, like, when he's going places, just he's going to his friend's house to grill out. And I'm like, "Are you not taking your fanny pack?" Which means you're not taking your gun.
Right.
So, "No, I'm just going to Kyle's house." I'm like,
that's how stuff happens.
So?
Right.
It's 2:00. I don't care. Like, and he's like, yeah, no, you're right.
Because what if you run into that person that just robbed the 7-Eleven, they're trying to get away, and the only vehicle around is your vehicle. They're trying to get into your vehicle to take your vehicle from you so they can get away.
Mm-hmm.
You just never know.
And people always like discount, like, "Oh, well, I don't like to think like that. I don't. You're paranoid." But I've got friends like that too. I'm like, it's gonna be that situation where you didn't take this when you went shopping, when you didn't take this when you go into the grocery store, when you didn't take this when you went to your house. That something's gonna happen along the way, and you're like, "Fuck."
Right.
That's the way I think, and so I would say 99% of the time, this is on me.
Yeah.
Unless there's certain situations you can't have it. Right. Can't be taking this to the airport. Can't be taking. But yeah.
All right, nice, man. Mary, anything else? What do you have planned? You gonna do a podcast?
My own podcast?
Your own podcast?
Yeah, my boyfriend keeps pushing me to do that. It would be fun. It would be fun. It's the seed has been planted.
Right.
So I don't have a straight answer for you yet, but I think it'd be a blast. I have a lot of people I think I could chat with about various different things. I've got a fight coming up.
Nice.
No-gi worlds. So no-gi jiu-jitsu, instead of wearing the gi, we're like spandex, right? No-gi stuff. In Vegas, December 7th. So I'm training for that. Will be my first one in like a year.
Oh, wow.
I don't have another Sheepdog Response course planned yet. Hopefully I can do the Protector 2 course soon. But yeah, I think those are kind of the biggest things going on in my life.
What goes into getting ready for a fight? Do you your opponent homework, opposition homework, anything like that? You watch any videos of the opponent?
So when I'm doing a super fight, so let's say there's a tournament of like guys his size, purple belts, whatever. Sometimes they'll throw in a super fight to break up those brackets.
Right.
So me and one other girl, it means I have one fight. Those fights, I'll see if my coach will watch the opposition, because at the level I'm at, I'm just a blue belt. I don't feel knowledgeable enough to do that on my own. I have the coach do it, right? Or I ask them to. But this is going to be a tournament style thing. So I'm not going to, I don't know exactly who I'm going up against until,
Gotcha.
whatever. So no, I just basically focus on my game. And when I say fight, for those who aren't in the jiu-jitsu world, it's a jiu-jitsu match, and also, call it fight. Some people think that's just, striking, but I'm doing jiu-jitsu, not striking at this point.
Nice.
And so just train as much as I can, do recovery days, and just get into the gym and choke bitches out as much as possible.
I love it. And then get out to the range in between.
Yes, absolutely. And that's something I want to do more. And can I add something in here?
Absolutely.
Like, I don't know how many, women watch this podcast. Hopefully some do, because I think it's super helpful information that y'all put out there. But even you guys, like, who have women in your lives, like, who may be hesitant to start training jiu-jitsu, to start, I say, playing around with a gun, like training, with a gun, learning how to use it. It can be scary at first, but what's way scarier is being in a situation where you need one and you don't have one, or having one in your home and you don't know how to use it. That is even more dangerous to me. Somebody can take it from you. Learn how to use your gun, and you're going to stay scared of it as long as you don't have knowledge of it.
Right. Right.
These things are safe when you handle them well, when you always act like it's loaded. Man, I had a friend yesterday who said they're always in the habit of, before they put their gun up, checking the chamber and make sure nothing's in it. You know what they did? Their gun had been out. They thought they had done that like the time before, so they didn't think anything was in the chamber. Towards their home, shattered a huge, massive window while their wife was in the house.
I have a thing about why would you pull the trigger? What do you think is going to happen? What?
Yeah, and this person knows better.
There's two possibilities that could happen from that. Nothing or something.
Yeah.
So why would you do that? Because
if you're looking down,
you want to make sure.
Yeah.
Make sure what?
Yeah, that's a good point, and I'm gonna say something to them. Hey, that's not according to the professionals, that's not a step you need to take.
Yeah,
take the magazine out, slide it back, look in.
I see so many people doing that. I'm like, why are you doing that?
You want to make sure you're living on the edge.
Yeah, but my friend will never ever forget. They'll never forget to do that again. But fortunately nobody was hurt in that situation. But but anyway, get out there, train, make yourself aware of these situations. Don't let the fear of the unknown hold you back. Because what if somebody comes after your kids? What if somebody comes after your loved ones? What if somebody comes after you, or fuck, my dogs, like that would put me on edge probably more than almost anything.
Right.
I want to make sure that I am doing my due diligence to protect myself, but definitely the people that I love.
Man, thank you, Mary Barron, America's favorite single dog mom.
I always say that, so people go out and support me. Go online. You got to support those single moms, How
can we find you?
Mainly on Instagram. It's Mary, so MARY_A_B. TikTok is the same thing. And then if you just go to the link in those bios, you can find anything else that you're looking for.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming on the show. As always, more guns equals less crime. You go out there and you buy yourself a gun. Hey, it's really important that you help us right now. We're in a fight for our life. So please share, subscribe, like, come and talk it.